If you were a child of the 90s, one would be able to immediately recognize her. She is and will forever be one of the most iconic actresses of the industry. And after all, she's a true Philippine show business royalty. Though both her parents are heavyweights in their own field, she has managed to carve out her own niche and has reigned that part of her kingdom with grace and a fierce kind of gentleness. You guys may know her laugh and glare all too well, probably having to see it on TV and in memes. However, I have had the honor, privilege, and grace to know her behind the cameras and the characters that she has played. She was recently seen in the movie Yellow Rose, a film about undocumented immigrants in the US, where she plays a mother to an aspiring country singer. In real life, she is a doting mom to a beautiful girl, a wife, and is also a hospice nurse. O, kabahan na kayo. Baka bigla na lang kayong pasabugin habang nasa bus kayo, ha? Chos! Ladies and gentlemen, I am so proud to introduce our very special guest, the one and only Miss Princess Punzalan.
Hi. Hey. Hello, everyone.
Hello!
Hello, Ian,
Good
Janet,
morning,
Janet.
good afternoon, good
Yeah,
evening.
yun na nga eh. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depende kung saang parte ka ng mundo.
How are you? What have you been? I heard that you just recently got out of isolation.
Yes. Yeah, I had COVID, and thankfully it didn't really affect my lungs too much, except for a dry cough. Ganun pala talaga yun, ano, after sometimes even if you're already well and I already test not negative, there's still sometimes lalabas ulit yung ubo na para bang uh, basta yung weird yung sound. But I'm glad that it's done. It didn't stay for long, and um and it didn't really affect my breathing. So yun ang pinagpapasalamat ko.
Yeah, glad you're better. So glad you're better. Oh my God, that's a little scary. Oh, so how was it being like? That must be difficult being away from your daughter.
Yeah, that was the thing that really got me because she I think the second night that I was isolating, she opened the door and then I told her, "Hey, you have to wear a mask. Don't come in." And then she slowly closed the door, and I started to hear,
Oh,
oh, she started falling, and then she asked my husband, "Is my mama gonna die?"
oh my God. Oh my
And there
God.
were a few nights that she had nightmares that she saw me dying in her dreams. And so my husband had to comfort her and tell her, "No, ma, your mom's okay. She's strong, and she's gonna be fine. Don't worry." You know,
And you are fine.
I'm
Parang reversal
fine.
of roles. Ang husband mo tsaka ikaw, reversal of roles. Siya naman yung naging hospice nurse.
Correct. Oo. Ang buti
That's,
na lang, good thing that his patient didn't die.
oh, that's so good to hear. But, sorry, I'm just so like, a little, ang layo from acting to being a hospice nurse to the medical field.
Mhm.
What made you think about jumping there, or was it something that you've always wanted to do?
Okay, when I was in high school, after so in my fourth year, in my senior year, um, I was thinking of who I think I also want to get in the medical field. I want to be a doctor, but I didn't have the confidence to apply to UP or Ateneo or LaSalle. I didn't have the confidence to take the tests, and then my mom said, "Oh, she didn't know what that I wanted to become a doctor." But and then she said, "Oh, what do you want to be?" So I was so parang nahihiya ako. I just said, I don't know." And then she said, "Oh, since you're very artistic, maybe it's a great idea for you to uh, take up interior design." So being a good daughter, sumunod naman ako.
Masunurin tayo eh.
Oo, masunurin tayo sa kultura natin 'pag sinabi ng magulang susunod ka.
Correct.
Lalo na sa generation namin.
Correct. Yung bawal sumagot.
Sa generation namin 'pag sinabi ng magulang susunod ka. So anyway, I did what she said, and I did well. I had high grades, and I finished it, the course, but I didn't practice it because that was not really in my heart. So when I was trying to so anyway, yun. So yun yung story kung bakit ako naging nurse. But after working as an actor for so many decades, um, I met my match and I got married, who's an American, and he felt like he had more opportunities here in America than if we would live in the Philippines. So we moved to America. And then he asked me, so what's your plan? Do you want to pursue acting? Because you can, sabi niya ganon. He was very supportive. I said, yeah, I could, but I don't think it would be a good foundation for our marriage for me to pursue acting because we are living in Michigan. And for me to pursue acting, I had to fly or spend a lot of time in New
LA.
York or California. So I decided, no, I don't think so. And then he said, would you like to go back to school? And that sparked an idea in my head. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I would love to. I went back to school and studied to become a nurse.
How long? Like,
It took me a long time. I, so I think so before you can actually take the 2-year associate's degree nursing course, maraming prerequisites. But we kept moving from state to state because of his job. There were different requirements for
state.
for each state. So there were
Right.
things that I was taking na paglipat ng ibang state, hindi na kailangan, iba na naman ang kailangan. So napahaba ng napahaba ng napahaba. Plus, since I graduated high school in the 80s, so most of my subjects, science and math subjects na tinake up ko nung college, paso na. So, so I had to retake all of them. But it took me, I think it took me 6 years to finish everything. Paunti-unti hanggang sa matapos. Yun. So,
But the
pagka,
bright side of
it
it,
was it was a challenge because I was in my mid 30s, and it was difficult to learn new things and to go through to take tests in English. Talagang nosebleed, you know.
I know the
Because
feeling.
kasi so aaralin ko siya. It's very technical, scientific yung terms and all that. So I had to learn things in English, but when I'm trying to learn it, I would translate in Tagalog, and then I would translate it back in English to be
Respond.
able to answer the question.
Mm.
So, hindi ko naman kayang bumili ng interpreter. Ganun talaga. Magdusa ka. But anyway, I'm grateful I was able to have that experience, and now I'm a nurse.
And the bright side of it is you've actually unintentionally expanded all of that knowledge because you were taking all of these different courses and applying that and learning all about that. Ang lawak
Mm-hmm.
bigla na hindi
Mm-hmm.
naman yun na talaga yung goal pero it's a good kind of like bonus. I
Yeah,
get all the extra knowledge.
that's true. And as my husband said, one thing about learning all that is no one can ever take it away from you.
Exactly. That's the best investment, I would think. Invest in yourself. Like online courses do that. I'm a big believer in that. Sabi nga ni Kuya Ernie Baron, di ba? Pag my knowledge, my
My power.
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 Ah.
Naabutan pa. Si Jillian yung hindi sumagot kasi siya yung pinaka-baby. Millennial yan eh. Hindi niya na
Uy,
naabutan yun.
inabutan ko yun
Si Ernie
Inabutan ko
Baron?
yun. Kasi nakikinig ako sa radyo. Ernie Baron, tapos gawin ng lagi yung magkasunod sa radyo.
Memorable.
Oh my
Lumaki
God!
sa gabi. Radyo.
Palaki po siya ng radyo. Kami palaki ng sex bomb.
Hindi, kaya ako mema. Kasi marami ako natutunan kay Ernie Baron kasi nga hindi ako pinapanood ng TV pero pinapakinig ako ng radyo kay Ernie Baron tapos i-extend ko siya gabi ng lagim.
Speaking of radio, doon nag-umpisa actually ang mommy ni Tita Princess, ni Miss Princess. Si Miss Helen, she was a radio host. Yung nga yung show niya, Lovingly Yours Helen, that started on radio, then became a TV show. Her dad, Orly Punzalan, was a sportscaster naman.
Hindi. He was a broadcaster, but not a
Okay.
sports
Broadcaster.
Yeah.
I sit corrected. Hindi ako nakatayo eh.
Nababanggit yung name ng dad ni Miss Princess sa masscom courses namin before. Yung mga example ng mga broadcasters before.
Nax. Okay,
Masscom grad kasi. She's a Masscom yan. Masscom yan? Ano yun?
Mas komportable sa bahay.
Oo, actually, mas komportable sa mall pag nag-e-exam. Okay, so we now know the journey of being a hospice nurse. I've always been very curious because I watched this series called Afterlife, and it's a Ricky Gervais comedy series. Pero it talks about what happens when someone dies to the people that get left behind. The husband who's now a widower who's trying to cope with that. Meron siyang naging parang friend na akala niya romantically involved siya pero hindi pala yung hindi niya kasi maintindihan yung levels of friendship eh. So the friend was a girl na hospice nurse. And she was the nurse of his dad. So kaya sila naging close. And as I was watching it, I was so enthralled with that and so attached to that nurse character because she was sprightly and I kept on feeling like how can she still have that kind of attitude being surrounded with death? I mean, these people that's why they require medical assistance because they are in their sunset years. And yet she was so positive still. She was still very, kung ako siguro yun yung, oh my God. I don't know. Maybe because I'm hitting too close to home because it's my mom. I know that's going to be a future for me. Or it's just really hard for me to deal with death. So I guess my question is, how do you deal with it?
Well, I think what makes me comfortable facing death is that it's clear to me that every person who gets born will eventually have an exit. And as a hospice nurse, I think it would be of good service if I can help people have a comfortable exit. Dahil when you're a hospice nurse, you try your best to find a way to relieve the pain, to help the family who are anxious, to help them calm down and have more peace and not be too fearful. Usually, fear is from not knowing what's going to be up ahead or not knowing what is happening. But if I'm able to help explain things to them so that they will have a better understanding of what's going on and what are the things that you should expect, then if things are clearer, there's less space or opportunity for fear. So yun, I when my mom was dying, and actually at that point, I didn't think that she was really going to die. I thought that she was gonna come out of it and she was gonna get well. During that time, nandito kami sa Amerika na noon because at the first few months, they couldn't find out what was wrong with her in the Philippines. So my mom's ex-boyfriend, Mr. Ben Hernandez, had her taken to America so she can be treated here. And when the doctors would speak to me, hindi ko maintindihan. At that moment that they were explaining things to me scientifically, it would make sense, and I would just nod and say, okay, all right. But maybe a few minutes later when they're gone, I don't understand things anymore. I don't even know how to explain it to my brothers. I don't know how to explain it to my mom's friends kung ano ba ang latest, ano bang nangyayari sa kanya. So, now that I'm a nurse, one of the things that I am really passionate about is trying to help people understand what's going on, and trying to make them feel like if you have any questions, you can come to me. So, yun. Hanggang sa naging advocate na talaga ako. Na isa naman talagang responsibility ng isang nurse is to be an advocate for the patient.
Sorry. You're gonna ask something, Chane? Ay, nakala ko may sasabihin
Hindi.
ka.
Hindi. medyo na, medyo na ano din ako kasi more or less parang same kasi yung ginagawa sa veterinary field, especially on the kapag terminal cases. Although with animals kasi you have an option to continue with the treatment or to put the animal to sleep. So there are times kasi na may mga clients na they wouldn't give up even talagang walang-wala na. Sometimes even kapag nasa um, life support na, like there's no way. So isa yun na you really have to explain, you really have to be compassionate as well. You have to know kung saan nanggagaling, kung bakit. Para at least, yun nga, parang, kasi sa amin, of course, our patient is different from clients. Of course, yun nga, you have been advocate for your patients. Pero kasi ang naiiwan din kasi is yung clients. So you have to at least, mapagaan mo yung loob nila
Mahirap
afterwards. And I
nun,
know we have some, so, kaya nga, like for me, even madami na ako nakita, hindi talaga siya, hindi siya nagiging madali ever.
It's I think the reason why I find it difficult because there are two people or two parties there that you will have to care for. The patient and the relatives or the ones who get left behind by the patient. Kasi mas madalas yung naiiwan yung maganon eh. yung naiiwan ng mas aggressive. The one that the patient is kind of like, dude, I just want to pass away quietly here. Parang ganun yung dating. Or sometimes they don't even talk at all. They don't say anything. How do you where do you start? How do you bridge that? Ang hirap nun. Do you ever ano na lang, can you tell us of a time where or a very memorable moment where you had that transaction or that conversation with you bridged that, alleviated both patient and relatives?
Um, I remember one couple. So this guy, from the way he acted, and he was he exuded power. The guy, the husband, yung wife niya yung terminal. Um, So he got used to, they had a tradition, like I think almost every day they would eat out. Talagang ano, yung in fancy restaurants, yung gano'n, yung talagang date sila ng asawa niya. They were together for more than 50 years.
Wow.
And they were really close. And if you could, I could see how he was very caring about his wife. He would really take care of his wife. Um, it got to a point where her heart was no longer strong enough to be able to, for her to be able to tolerate sitting up for a long periods of time. And so because he couldn't carry her into the car anymore, he would rent like there's a kind of cab here where you can use the wheelchair and wheel her in, ganyan. Or else they would look for someone who can help carry her into the cab. Um, but it got to a point where her heart was not strong anymore. And so I had to explain to him, I'm really sorry, but your wife is not able to tolerate that anymore. Um, and he was getting mad at the caregiver because he wanted her wife to always be up and, just try to make it feel like it's normal. Everything's normal and nothing's going downhill. And I really had to explain to him where, your wife's heart is not that strong anymore, and she can't tolerate going to the restaurants anymore. And I had to explain scientific stuff with him. And then I said, but you can still continue having good, wonderful dinners with her. There's an app that you can put on your phone and you can order food from your favorite restaurants.
Uber
And then,
Eats.
so yeah, I told you can lay a white linen on your table, and if you want candles, you can still do that. And you can order food from your favorite restaurants that you always frequented when your wife was still up and about. You can still do that, but you can do it at your own home. And then I installed the app on his phone and from his
It
favorite
worked.
restaurants, and he was able to do that. It worked, but I could see the things moving in his head. And it's like he was disappointed, but he had to he had to make the adjustment because he realized his wife is not the same anymore.
Hirap nun, dalawa. Ah, wow. Sorry, I'm still processing it in my head that
Mm.
you're not just a nurse. I mean, you're not just like trying to explain it and take care of this patient. Psychiatrist ka din.
Correct, correct. Because some people are, and there are some people who get really cranky. Some people who there are some patients who are in denial and they don't want to face the fact that it's coming. And so I try to plant some seeds like, do you remember about this thing that, if it's something about if it's a subject matter that leads to them remembering that something is putting a deadline for them. There's a date. They try to push it back, and then I would respect it. Um, and then they have ideas that where, oh, someday I'm gonna get out of this, and it breaks my heart because they're really focusing on getting up and doing other stuff when it's no longer viable, hindi na pwede. But I try to be with them, and I think even without talking, I'm thankful that I'm able to convey comfort sa paghawak lang ng kamay, sa pagngiti lang, sa yung pagsabi lang ng good morning. And honestly, when I say good morning to my patients or greet them, say it in the most sincere way. And I really want them to feel like I'm not just there to take their blood pressure and other vital signs and then just zoop, tapos na. I stay and I chat. There's even this lady that I know who is a voracious reader. And minsan nasa dollar store ako and I saw some books that I think she would enjoy reading, and I got them for her. And every now and then I give her books, and then just them knowing that I sincerely care for them. And then there's this other lady who's uh, she has difficulty processing sugar, so I bring her stuff that has no sugar. Uh, uh, and so when she sees me, the first thing she says, "Candy."
Ano na siya?
Pinag-greeting niya sa akin. Eh, pagkita niya sa akin, pagbukas ko ng pinto, "Candy."
Candy. Have you had any Filipino patients that recognized you? Or
Oh,
wala
yeah.
pa?
Meron. Pero my ID has my legal name on it. Hindi siya Princess Punzalan. So they would look at my ID, then look at my face.
Hmm.
ID again. And
Hmm.
then my face. And then they say, you look like someone in the Philippines. And she's an actor. And then I would, if I was busy, this was in the hospital. If I was busy, I say, yeah, I've heard that a lot.